Hello, everyone, and welcome to an episode of Put It in My Mouth. I'm Lala.
I'm Judith.
And we are here again for your listening pleasure. Yo, okay, so...
Oh, it's like that. Okay.
Okay, today is Wednesday. And
Yes.
Sunday we had Steak Club.
Yes.
So, Steak Club, very important. We do this once a month. We hit a different steak restaurant in New York City. And I think that you know that potatoes are my favorite food. But I don't know why.
I know you get real serious about the potatoes.
Truly, it's a thing. But I was thinking about this today, as one does, about their best friend, and I was like, I don't think I know Judith's preferred way to potato. It upset me that I didn't.
Okay, we'll fix
that
it.
I didn't
We'll
know
fix it.
because I had to write them all down because I didn't want to forget.
Wait, all the different kinds of potato preparations?
Correct.
Okay, list them for me.
Okay, so we've got mashed, which is also sometimes known as puree.
Okay.
Baked, scalloped, au gratin.
Wait, what's the difference between scalloped and au gratin? Oh, cheese?
Yes.
Okay.
Hasselback.
What's a Hasselback?
Oh, that's when they take a baked potato and they slice it and they kind of like cook it, but it stays in the same shape, but it looks like an accordion.
Okay.
Palm Anna, which is also like a scalloped. It's like layered, but again, no cheese. There's twice baked for those fools who want to take a baked potato, mash it, and then put it
And
back
then
in
also bake it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's potato skins.
Okay.
Hash browns, latkes, roasted potatoes, fried potatoes, and then you've got a whole subcategory when you go into fried because then the whole French fry category
Right,
comes
like
up. And we've got
shoestring.
steak fries, shoestring, waffle, wedges, crinkle cut, curly tots. Do you consider a tot a baked potato, a potato presentation?
I
or
think
French?
it's its own category.
Cottage fries.
What's a cottage fry?
It's like a round fry.
Okay.
And then regular presentations, which I guess would be known as like a Belgian, and then like a natural Belgian that has like the skin on. Did I say shoestring? You said, I don't know.
Yeah, okay. So I hadn't thought that Belgian was, but I mean it is because, you know, you get the...
Well, that's where they were, yes.
I think
fries
that's
were
my
created.
favorite. So like, honestly, sorry, McDonald's has the best fucking French fries. They are my like perfect, ideal French fry, and I'm gonna have to say that French fry is my favorite potato preparation.
Okay.
But also, like, if you give me a potato, I'm gonna eat it. Like, in all of its iterations, I love potatoes.
Yes,
love
same.
them.
But we have been disappointed by a potato in the past.
Well, but I feel like the only time we were disappointed, I don't think those are real potatoes that we ate.
Oh, okay. So at a certain steakhouse that shall not be named.
Never. I think that they were
in
powdered
Brooklyn,
powdered mashed potatoes.
we were very disappointed.
Which is fucking bullshit.
Because their steaks were excellent.
Fine.
But the potatoes.
But I don't remember the steaks. All I remember is their nasty ass, not really
it took away.
mashed potatoes.
So the mashed potatoes or the potato puree tasted like they had zero butter or cream in them. It tasted like they were made with water. And also their cream spinach did also taste like there was no cream. Maybe there was no cream in house.
Maybe they ran out of cream that day.
I don't know.
Well, you know what? Go to the store.
Yeah, it was really disappointing for such a highly regarded.
Wait, so maybe I don't know what your is it a mashed potato?
Oh,
that's
yes.
your okay.
Give me
okay,
a
good.
silky
Okay.
puree.
I was worried there that I didn't know
also
your
like
favorite
my
potato.
hangover. Like I will eat mashed potatoes for breakfast. I like to run my steak through mashed. Like the more cream and the more butter. Just
I also
like,
you mentioned it, a latke with applesauce and sour cream.
Okay. Sour
right
cream
off,
is
right,
one of my
right
favorite
off
condiments.
of the fryer. Like
Yes.
don't send it to me in the mail or like feed it to me an hour later. Like it needs to be cooked by my mom right then.
Okay, so Yvonne has to do it.
Yeah.
I get it. I love French fries too.
But that's like way down from the French fry.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry,
my-
Mom.
my
My mom
French
doesn't
fries-
listen to the podcast, so it doesn't matter.
We gotta get her to listen. But yeah, my French fries has to be very specific. I mean, I love French. Like, I rarely meet a fry I don't like.
Right.
But I would say like a curly fry is low on
I don't
the
like it.
list
I
for
fucking
me.
hate a curly fry, and I don't really like a wedge because it's
don't
really
like a-
just a tiny baked potato.
Agreed. Like a steak fry isn't really my favorite. You gotta fry them twice though. You know, like soft inside, crispy on the outside.
Still,
Twice fry.
yeah, I mean, it's fine.
Okay. Anyway, now I know. Now we can bring on our guests. Now that the really important questions
okay.
that were
Let
just
everybody
like
go
causing
home.
me anxiety. Today we have 2 guests.
Yay.
I'm sorry, I'm dealing with a thing. If I cough all over this episode, it's because I have
You're going to
something-
cough all over the thing?
Yeah,
it's fine.
it's fine, whatever. 2 guests. They're entrepreneurs, creative directors. One is a performer and a writer. They are sommeliers, natural wine enthusiasts, educators, and they are married
To each other?
to each other. They are the founders of a wine social club called Pre-Shift. They are Julianny Gomez and Dante Clark.
Hey,
Hello, friends.
Hello.
First question, what's your favorite French fry shape?
Well, no, but what's your favorite,
favorite
favorite potato? Let's
Okay.
not, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Since you had to sit through that concept.
That very long
Well,
potato.
I will have to say my favorite French fry shape has to be waffle fries.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, I feel like you just get
Chick-fil-A got that
You
waffle
get
fry
because
on
yeah,
lock.
because it's fried around all the
it's
places.
fried, it's crunchy, and then it's like I don't know. I feel like you just get so much fry.
Yeah.
And then I do love a hash brown.
Okay.
Yeah, hash brown.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Hash
This
brown.
was like the Marvel universe of potato preparation, by the way. That's incredible. Like Avengers Endgame for French fries. That was
Y'all,
incredible.
I mean,
this
she is
important.
really.
No, it's important to me
she's
too.
for
I get
real
that.
Yes.
about that.
No, I get
Yeah.
that. But
I
I'm a
will
hash brown
eat
guy
a
too.
potato
I feel like
with
a hash
onion.
brown is like a tater tot, right? It's the same sort of.
It depends. There's different types of hash
depends.
browns.
Right, it could be
No,
like
there's some-
super smashed, or it could be not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's some really refined, crunchy, super smash hash browns
Yes.
that go with a little bit of a country breakfast.
Uh-huh.
little
Yes.
runny egg
The southern
moment.
side.
Yes.
Little crispy bacon moment.
Maybe we should start another podcast about potatoes.
Oh my God, we could have so many episodes. We could taste test them. Welcome to the best job of my life.
I thought this was the potato podcast.
Okay.
Sorry that it's
psych.
So I gotta go. Sorry.
All right.
Okay,
So
sorry.
This is also very important. Some intel on these 2, and this is going to age all of us, and I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
You 2 met on MySpace.
Yes.
Wait, what?
Oh
Yeah.
my God! Can you tell us about this?
Wait.
He added me.
Okay, first of all,
Okay, I have an ex, and I met him on MySpace. And when I tell people that, they're like, "What's a MySpace?"
oh, so they weren't even before with the Friendster. So they're-
True. There's people that
There are
don't
people-
know
what is
MySpace
that?
Yeah.
Right? Those
kids
the
these days
little
really know
children.
Instagram.
Yeah,
they
it's
do.
They don't know what's
pre
up.
IG, it's pre
Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
It was like the more fun Facebook with lots of like music that you didn't need to get copywritten before you put it on your
We're talking
page.
about this. Okay,
Yes.
so what was your song on your page?
Okay, I do remember that.
Okay.
It was called She by Pacific Division. That was like an independent rap group that was kind of popping in the late aughts, like early 2010s. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the exact song I had when I found Julianny.
What was your song?
That's
Do you
a good question.
remember?
I feel like I had a playlist. It was either like I either had something on by the Far Side or
Nice.
like by this underground rapper named Blue.
Yeah, that
It
makes
was
sense.
yeah.
Okay, so you MySpace,
Wait,
whatever
what
it was.
you're not getting out of this.
Oh,
what was
shit.
your song?
I think it was something you had recorded, maybe
No,
a
that's
cover.
too
No. Honestly, because I think I went through all the songs and I'm like, I'll just put on Zimski's song. You don't remember? You don't think this is a thing?
I had recorded like a few covers. There was nothing original. But
I-
if you actually
I
had
think
that
that's
as
what-
yours,
I think that's what-
you're
I
the
think
best
it's-
friend that ever existed.
You're welcome. I think if MySpace still exists, like it's still on a loop somewhere.
Is it out there in the ether? Can
Like,
we
is it
find
a thing?
They said they brought it back a couple years ago,
Well,
right?
remember like deep in the pandemic,
Oh.
yeah.
like we started like looking. Well, I had deleted my MySpace,
shit.
but I think we were able to log into your MySpace
Yeah.
because we saw somewhere that like Justin Timberlake has a stake in it now or some shit.
He's like, so we're bringing it back.
Yes, and we were able to log in, and it looked so different.
I'm bringing
Look-
MySpace
It
back.
looked crazy. It looked crazy.
It looked crazy.
You can't do the HTML.
No.
Like,
It
you
looked
know?
corrupted.
Yeah.
My song was Well Thought Out Twinkles by Silver Sun Pickups. I remember that.
Okay.
But I
Word.
fluctuated. I like to pick a new
Okay,
one each
so
week.
Exactly.
yeah.
I feel like
Curated.
my ex like just sent me a message.
Yeah, okay,
And
tell
then
us about how this
like
went
how
down.
does it? I don't even remember how it worked. Oh,
Oh man.
I saw an eyebrow go.
Oh, I gotta.
Yeah, so how did you find me, Dante?
Yeah,
Ooh.
true.
Crazy thing is, I was stalking you for weeks, and all of a sudden, no, I'm kidding. No, I
not
saw
lying.
you like, you were like participating in conversation on like a music page or something. You were just like, hey, I don't even know what you were saying.
Like on a
exactly.
MySpace.
Yeah,
page?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like on a
Really?
music
You can
forum
really
page.
connect with
yeah.
artists.
And I was like, oh, cute person, add. And then
Did she end up in your top friends?
I think by then the top friends wasn't even really much of a thing. I know I had mine hidden. If I did use it, I'm sure they were on it. But I think by then I may have low key retired it because that shit was causing so much drama.
Oh, yeah. That no. Looking back, that's fucking rude.
Right, you're basically saying these are the people that
Yeah.
matter the most.
Right. If people
And
would
if
change
you're
it
not
every day.
on it, like what does that mean?
Yeah.
But by this point,
fucked up.
it was 09, so like you could expand, but like I think you could have up to like a top like 32 or some shit.
that's too
okay,
many.
that's
That's too many.
I don't like that
Way
many
too-
people.
But if you were
Basketball
really
teams.
savvy with the HTML, you were able to hide
Right.
your top. But if you were smart, you knew that all you had to do was like take that person's MySpace code and like, shift some things in the HTML and
well
then see-
beyond my capabilities.
Oh.
Yes, I was
guess
that
I missed it.
person.
Yeah, we should have just been hackers growing up. I don't
We should have
understand
been.
why we're not
MySpace
doing that.
hackers.
I blame Mark Zuckerberg. That's when we stopped.
We
exploring.
transitioned and we
Yeah.
chilled the fuck out.
We did.
So I'm sorry. You said this was 09,
This was
2010.
Yeah, 09.
Okay, so then what year did y'all get married?
Oh,
2018.
2018, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you've been together for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
yeah.
Amazing. And you're from Harlem in the Bronx.
Yeah.
I grew up in Long Island City.
Okay.
Yes, but I regrettably went to high school in New Jersey.
Oh, what was there that took your new nerve?
What was in New Jersey?
Yeah.
I think like
Did you commute from Long Island City to New Jersey?
No. For a while, my mom had wanted to get into like home ownership. So like for years, we were like looking for a house in like primarily New York and Queens. And like I didn't think this was ever gonna happen because it's like my mom was like, she's very hard to please. But I think her sister moved to New Jersey. So eventually she's like, oh, well,
I might as well do
we
this
might
as
as well. Like,
Okay.
I could take the bus to work. Like, it's no biggie. And we moved to this one very small 1 square mile town where you could still see the skyline. But it was very much of a culture shock for me coming from an area that was like extremely like culturally and ethnically and racially diverse to a place that was not.
Yeah.
a tiny town in New Jersey.
A tiny suburban town.
Woof.
What town?
Wood Ridge.
Okay.
Yeah, Wood-Ridge, not to be confused with Woodbridge.
Got it.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Who would
when
get
you-
those confused?
When you guys met on MySpace, you were in New Jersey?
I was like finishing my senior year of high school, but looking forward to coming back to New York for
Back
college.
to the big city.
Back to the big
you
city.
could see it.
Yeah, I could literally see it from my.
literally.
Yes.
Yeah, you could literally
You
see
could
it from
literally
there.
see it.
All right, so clearly you all weren't in the wine world then.
Nah.
Senior year of high school.
Right.
No.
But I read that your mom would drink wine. I'm this is a big assumption, but I'm assuming that our mothers or even my grandfather, because he was pretty much the only one in my family that drank wine, it was like the Kendall Jackson
Yes.
bottles, the like turning
Yes.
leaf, the like
totally.
Yes.
you know, the wines that actually have ads, which you don't want to drink that shit. So that was your first experience with wine, is what I read, right? From what your mom would drink.
Yeah. That was definitely some of my first experiences, but I will say like at that age I was a little bit more into like whiskey. I was very much
go
like
girl.
a daddy's girl.
Okay.
And like his thing was Johnny Walker, so I was like, ooh, I don't know about this wine thing. But there was like an aunt of ours that we visited in the Bronx around that era, and her thing was Poppy.
Okay.
You know that wine?
Oh my. And
I think it was like a Cabernet Sauvignon. I have no idea. It was a red. It was a red wine.
Just red
It
wine.
was
Like no
table red.
It
No
was
varietal.
red. And like I was like, oh, like I was like, I don't know, 18, maybe 19 at the time. I'm like, oh, this is sweet. This is like very demure, very cutesy. I can get into this.
That's like Boone's Farm. Do you guys remember Boone's Farm?
No.
I think that was a southern
It was like
thing.
a malt beverage. We're from Maryland,
Copy.
but it was like in a wine bottle, and it was called Strawberry Fields, and it was just like Vomit City.
Oh,
like, you want to drink this and throw up? Great.
Go
It'll
for
give
it.
you a buzz.
Go for it, asshole.
All right. Anyway, I digress. So you worked in service because you were an actor.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you have been in hospitality like us. You know, every actor's got to pay their dues
Yeah.
in the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
So you started there, and like, what was your first experience with wine?
I had slightly intimate moments with wine because, you know, I was a bartender for a really long time in the West Village, specifically at this place called Extra Virgin that was actually open up for like 20 years. They just closed this past year, or
Yeah, I was gonna
like
say
a month
that's
or
been
two
there
ago.
forever.
But yeah, like I worked damn near every position there. I was a bar back. Before that, I was a barista. Before that, I was a busser. And eventually, the opportunity arose for me to become like one of the bartenders in the weekly slots. So, you know, I was popping open your like traditional like Sauvignon Blancs, your traditional Cabernet Sauvignons and whatnot. And I think at one point I started to find wines that I didn't really recognize because the standards were everywhere.
Yeah.
With your Sauvignons, Pinot Grigios,
Sure.
Pinot Noirs, and Cabernets all over the West Village. And I think one day specifically, it was just like, what the fuck is Falangina?
Okay.
Where's Campania?
Okay.
You know?
A place you never heard of.
Yeah, exactly. I've never heard of this place. I've never heard of this grape. I'm like, okay, we'll dive into Italy. And then that just kind of led me down a rabbit hole with figuring out what other grapes were out there, what other regions were out there. And eventually I started to bounce around into different wine-centered / wine-focused positions and jobs after that. And the education has just kind of been continuous ever since.
And same with you, right? Because you were a middle school teacher.
I was.
That
I mean,
God
good
bless.
for you. I don't know how.
I mean, those are the worst kids. Right? I mean, you don't have to tell me yes, but like nod yes.
You know, I think
blink twice if they're the worst kids.
no.
I just remember like that was the most miserable time
Yes.
of my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same for me. And I, you know,
But I mean, maybe that gave you some empathy for these little
Assholes.
I mean, you're going through a lot at the time.
Yeah,
like
it's
your
horrible.
body's changing, smells are happening.
It's the worst.
But
You know?
that was your career at the time,
That
right?
was.
You were like, I am a teacher, and you have healthcare, and you have a steady job. And then I read that you also had a moment with wine where you were
Yeah.
sitting there. And do you want to tell my mom and dad, our two listeners, about that experience?
Not my mom.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I also have to like thank Dante a lot because like as he was learning more about wine through his like bartending job, he was introducing me to better wines as well. But we moved in together in 2016. I want to say like a year after us moving in, there was a natural wine bar that opened in our neighborhood of Inwood called Tanat. Rest in peace. And at that time, like I had a very conventional kind of like experience with wine. Like if I go somewhere like, oh yeah, I'm going to drink my Chardonnay or
I'll have the Kendall Jackson.
yes,
Yeah.
the Pinot Noir, you know? But they had orange wines and things I'd never heard
Which
of
I feel like in
before.
2016 was advanced for its time.
Yes.
'Cause
Yeah.
orange wines have only kind of been mainstream, I feel like, for the last few years. I mean, wine people know, but
Yes.
2016 seems early.
Yeah,
Love
for
this.
sure.
Keep going.
For like us, yeah. So I remember like I went there one day to like wait for a friend, and they had a skin contact Pinot Gris by the glass by this queer producer named Frencher. And I ordered it because I really loved the name of the cuvee. It was called For Heaven's Sake, Don't Move Here. And I'm like, yeah.
Ooh, saucy.
Gentrification. I'm ordering that. And the really gracious bartender at the time, Helen, she poured it in my glass and it was pink. And I was just like, I'm sorry, you must be mistaken. I ordered the Pinot Gris, not the Rosé. And they're like, no, it's the skin contact, like Pinot Gris. Like, I learned that, like, oh, these grapes are pink. If you leave them on the skins, it's going to be like more pink or copper tone. And it was unfiltered and unfined. I never had a wine with like sediment in it. I'm like, okay,
What
I don't
is
know
this
Mind-blowing.
what did I
And
get
all because
myself
you like
into.
the like sassy little name.
The sassy name got me.
I mean, yeah.
You know, and it was great. It was like one of those things that it was an aha moment. Like, I tasted so many things happening at the same time. It was like citrusy, but also earthy. There was texture, there was crunch, and that kind of put me through a rabbit hole because I feel like I'm slightly on the spectrum. So I'm just like, oh, I'm into this thing. Like, I'm going to get really into it now.
But it's true, because I feel like if you grow up in families that drink that wine, it's
Yeah.
like wine that tastes like wine. You know,
Yeah.
like it doesn't taste like a specific grape. It doesn't taste like a specific region. It's just like those big jugs of that wine, or even boxed. My mom liked some boxed
I
wine.
mean,
You know,
nothing
it's like
wrong with the
doesn't
wine.
have a very specific thing. It tastes like wine,
Yeah.
right? So when you have a moment where you are like, wait a minute, what's happening? There's so many things going on. That's such a beautiful, beautiful moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so you both realize there's more to this wine thing, right? You're working in service, you're working as a teacher. I did also kind of read that you were just like, I am unhappy. The pandemic happens. And I think for all of us, it's like,
So many stories of like the pandemic hits and it's like,
how
cut
do I
your- yeah.
take this passion and make it an actual job?
Yeah.
So tell us how Pre-Shift really came to be.
Yeah.
And first of all, give us like the elevator pitch, the like one sentence of what is Pre-Shift.
Pre-Shift is a wine club or a wine society where you can honestly come as yourself, learn as much or little about wine as you want, and just have fun in an unpretentious space.
I love that, because the wine world seems so closed off sometimes. It
Yeah.
seems like such a world for like old white dudes. And it's just like, you all want to take it and make it fun and educational.
accessible.
And accessible, right? It's like, you don't need to feel weird about not knowing anything.
So
right?
what
Like,
was the first steps? You're like, we want to bring wine to everybody. We want to bring this thing that we're excited about to everybody. Like, I don't know, invite some people over to the apartment.
It was a really long journey because, I mean, as you mentioned, like, I was personally unhappy in my career. It wasn't the kids.
No.
We don't blame them.
Yeah.
More the red tape, but I think, you know, I went into this career not too long after college because I very much had my mom's voice in my head, where it's like, I need to be a productive member of society,
Sure.
that has job security, union if you know you can do it, healthcare, and I thought that that's what I had to do as an adult. But I've always had, like, since that moment with the Franchère wine, a real passion for wine. And I would see people around me, like, being able to monetize or make a living out of their passion. So when we're all stuck at home having existential crises,
absolutely.
it's like, you know, why not me? Why not us?
Right.
Yeah.
We weren't able to really make Pre-Shift a thing until like maybe 2 years after, in 2022, when things started to kind of like open back up and we had been able to like network and reconnect with people a little bit. And I really want to like give a shout out to the owners of Winona's, Cressida, and Demir, who have a long history with Dante. They're like, well, we do.
Winona's is amazing. Shout
They're
them out. They're in
awesome.
Brooklyn.
Yes.
Yes, go Winona's, great restaurant.
One of our favorite restaurants. They are really open to opening their space to other people that want to have food and wine pop up. So they're like, we're going to teach you how to do this thing. We have an opening on this date. We're tired about y'all talking about this. Y'all are just going to do it.
So they were basically like, shit or get off the pot. Let's make this happen.
Yes.
A little kick in the pants.
I imagine that's scary. But you're
Yeah.
like, okay, we got to do it, right?
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Jumped right into it, made whatever little mistakes we needed to make. They helped to guide us past that, and honestly, it was immediately fun. It was a great event. We got to meet a bunch of people. A ton of our friends came through. The wine list was relatively fun as well. Shit, it was really fun. And I think we've kind of been moving with that momentum ever since. Yeah, it's funny because Amir was literally just like, he just sat down with us one day and looked at us before we had any of this plan, and he was just like, so what do you want to do? And we had no idea what we had no idea what he meant by that. Like, there was no real context.
Yeah.
Because he would always sit down and like share cool things with us, cool wines, cool spirits as well. And he was just straight up like, I want you guys involved in this space. I want you to activate it. What do you want to do?
What a beautiful soul.
Yeah, totally. And, we kind of worked on our concept, I think, after that.
What do we want?
Yeah, we were like, what is it that we want? And I think at the time, like, we were calling our thing, what was it called?
If you know you wine.
Yeah, IYKY dub.
Oh.
It was a mouthful, man.
Well, for people who aren't in the hospitality industry, tell them what a pre-shift is.
Yeah, so I was working at a job as a manager in a sommelier at Bar Blondeau. And, one of the things I had to do was write the lineup / like pre-shift notes on any given day, which I was like taking care of the shift. So, in a pre-shift, basically you go over new items on the menu, you go over new beverages that are on the wine list.
Right. This is before
list.
service, so
Yeah.
everybody, the staff, the servers, the bartenders, everyone front of house and sometimes back of house is up to speed on what's going on.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And you talk about your PXs / VIPs for the night,
Right.
so on and so forth. And Julianny kept hearing me say this term pre-shift. Yeah, during pre-shift, did this. Yeah, I got to write pre-shift, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, why don't we call our thing pre-shift? And I was like, oh, shit.
Oh, that's kind
I
of
mean,
cool.
that fits amazingly
You're right.
well because we're all learning about the wine in our pre-shifts. I love that.
And on top of learning about the wine, we get a chance to collaborate with chefs who are bringing in new food options for any given menu that we work with. And we are treating everyone who comes to our events like PXers / VIPs. It's like, what do we know about our folks that we want to basically use to bring them in a space where they feel welcomed, bring them in a space where they feel special. And those are things that folks talk about when they're in the middle of lineup / pre-shift.
For the listener, for Mom and for Janet and Matt, PX is what they put on a check in the restaurant world to denote that you are a VIP. So, yeah.
Isn't it French? Is it French? The P, is it?
I believe so.
Am I making that up?
I'm
You're not making that
Okay.
up. I just can't remember what it stands for.
Right. It's Frenchy French.
Okay, so you have this idea, he kicks you in the ass, makes it happen, you have your first event, you decide, or maybe you hadn't at this point, but that your focus was going to be on natural wine. First of all, tell the listener at home what natural wine is. Let's talk about that first of all.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, have we hit a nerve?
Yeah.
No, it's a fun
cool.
question because
Yeah. My
there
mom has no idea. It's not Kendall Jackson. Or
it's for sure not Kendall Jackson or Cupcake
Or Yellow
Barefoot.
Tail.
Yes.
Oh, barefoot. Yes.
So there's no set definition, but I think the best way to describe it, and I think it's like how Catherine Clary described it in her book, was a wine in which nothing is taken or nothing is added. So
Right. People use the term 0-0 a lot.
Yes. And I think that can definitely be a kind of natural
Yes.
wine, and
Yes.
not all natural wine is 0-0. I think that at best, in terms of like your farming practices, at the very least, you're farming organically. At the most, if you can, you're farming biodynamically. And in terms of the cellar, you're trying to stay as low intervention as you can. Now, that doesn't mean that you let your grapes ferment and you just kind of like let them do their thing and check in a month or two later. You're checking your ferment, you're intervening when you need to. But you're basically trying to let the terroir and the grapes speak for themselves as much as possible.
Right.
Right. There aren't the added pesticides.
Right.
And I mean, there's the conversation of the of the sulfur,
Sure.
or the sulfites,
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
which is a whole different conversation.
Yes.
But for the most part, the least intervention in the winemaking process.
No synthetic herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, and yeah, if you are 0-0, no sulfur, but plenty of natural wine producers add a little bit of sulfur.
Right, to make it shelf stable.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so you decided from the beginning you wanted to focus on natural wines?
Yeah, on definitely low intervention wines. And the number one thing for us was more of like a boutique product that like you can look up this winemaker and you know that this person or group of people have had their hands on the creation of what's in the bottle from like start to
They're
finish.
real people making
Exactly.
it.
They're real people with a story. Maybe they're a family that goes back generations or people that have just started. But for us, it's like the people that are creating this for us were at the forefront.
Yeah, so what else about natural wine really does it for you?
Oh, I mean, for the most part, I think natural wine for us, especially when we were really diving into it back in like 2017, 2016 and whatnot, was more expressive than the wines that we were used to having. We would always like grab a bottle of red from somewhere, you know, local liquor store and whatnot, and have it with food with the family and whatnot. And, you know, these wines would taste the same way every single time. But then when we started to taste the wines of from wineries that are kind of like organic based and natural winemaking base, the expression was a lot more vibrant. It actually like felt like the vintage. It actually felt like the grape. Typicity was present. You know, terroir was present. So for us, that meant like if we can constantly like search for wines that like continue to surprise us in this way when it comes to expression, then that's what's going to continue to lead us toward inquiry.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That's so exciting. And that kind of brings us to, should we tell the people what we're drinking right now? Maybe we should. So
We've started.
But I went into ABC Wines, which is one of my locals. Shout out to ABC. I love you guys. Thank you all for taking care of me. One of the buyers there, her name is Nora, and she recommended this, Love Echo, which is amazing because it's a Black producer and they give a portion of their proceeds to the Black Farmers Fund. And then after I bought this, I read that Sade Marley, is one of your mentors. So it just so happens that I have that, and that's amazing. From Virginia. And then you all also brought a wine from Virginia. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that because I feel like, you know,
I don't know that I ever hear about
right. You think about wines
wines
in the United States, and what do you think of? You think obviously
California,
Napa,
New York,
Sonoma, blah blah blah.
not
Yes.
the DMV.
Right. Right. You think about Oregon. You don't think about that. So talk to us about, I mean, wine can be made anywhere, right?
Yeah, and supposedly there's wine that's made in all 50 states now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wow.
Yes, which is
Supposedly.
interesting. Yeah, or so I've heard.
You like wine? How many of you tasted?
Right.
But with Jade and with Virginia wine, when I decided to hop into wine and Dante got like a little bit more like serious into wine, Jade was one of the first people that we were introduced to by Will and Sarah, who were the owners of Tanat, that spot that I mentioned like
Amazing.
earlier. I think at the time like she was working for Eclecticon.
Yeah, either Eclecticon or Knit. But yeah, one of those.
Yeah. And she's always been kind of a champion of like domestic wines, alternative ferments, indigenous and hybrid grapes. I know around this time as well, she took like a very formative trip with some other people that we really respect in the wine world, like Bianca Sanone. And I believe Lee Campbell was involved in this trip, in which they went to Virginia. And Virginia has kind of been, I want to say for the last couple of years, at the forefront of trying to make sense of like, okay, this is the land that we have. This is the climate that we're dealing with. What can we realistically grow here and create a product that is good and is interesting and that we can sell? And they've farmers like Ben Jordan have been experimenting with grapes like Petit Manseng, which grows very well or is from like the southwest of France, have been experimenting with like hybrid grapes like Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc, which grow very well, are very like disease resistant, are cold hardy as well. So I think like what's happening right now in Virginia is like indicative of what is happening and going to expand in the rest of the domestic sphere. So it's pretty exciting.
I mean, all of those grapes that you mentioned are not grapes, pardon me, that the people know,
Yeah.
right? So it's really interesting when you say these grapes and you're like, oh, wait, I only know Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, you know, like the standard. And then you say all these names, it's like, oh, wait, and they're growing them here in the United States. So I think that education is really obviously important, what you guys are doing, but also for the novice, because they might not recognize these grapes, but also this bottle may seem strange to some people. It doesn't have a cork. It's open more like a beer. It's pet nat style. Tell the listener, my father, my mother, what a pet nat style wine is.
Yeah, for sure. Pet nat is a term that stands for pétillant naturel.
So French.
Yeah. And it's
Beautifully said.
essentially the ancestral method of sparkling winemaking, where the fermentation finishes in bottle, as opposed to some other styles of sparkling winemaking in which secondary fermentation happens. Primary fermentation starts in one vessel, and then secondary fermentation finishes in bottle. One fermentation happens, and it's just in bottle with pet nats.
Right.
Okay.
So this style ends up bubbly. It's delicious. I mean, it's obviously not a champagne because we know those can only be from champagne. Right? But it's a really delightful, like easy to drink wine. And I will say that if you don't know what you're drinking, you could almost confuse some natural wines for like ciders, you know, the flavor. Because my dad, I'm going to shout out my dad right now. My dad is such a beer drinker. Mm-hmm. You can't convince this man to drink wine, but I feel like I could maybe trick him, you know, with like some sort of natural wine that almost has those beer notes, because some of them can be funky. The man likes IPAs, you know, and I think just like letting him know that wine isn't always wine as he thinks it is could be really fun. Should I trick him?
I mean, so what would you do? Would you put it in a beer bottle and be like, "Hey, Dad, I got you a brewski"?
Maybe, and like see if he's like, well, what kind of beer is this?
I mean, I don't know. I think you could just pour it for him. It's so freaking delicious.
It really is.
Yeah.
This Love Echo is so lovely. Tell us about the other wine that you brought from Virginia.
Yeah, so this is the Mies from Commonwealth Crush, which relating back to the Love Echo, Jade did make her wine in collaboration with Commonwealth Crush, which was started by Ben Jordan, Lee Campbell, and a couple of other folks. So Lee Campbell is also a very important person in our wine journey. She has been in the wine game for 20 plus years, like I want to say late 90s, early 2000s. She was like in the same spaces as like the Louis Dresner folks and Andrew Tarlow, folks that really were starting to bring lower intervention, smaller producers and natural wines to New York at a time where no natural wine was on the market whatsoever. She started working with Ben Jordan, who is the primary winemaker, when she was the ambassador for this winery in Virginia called Early Mountain. The Mies is a skin contact, aka orange wine, that's a mix of Petit Manseng, Sauvignon Blanc, and Chardonnay that has been fermented in
Right, there's some
neutral
familiar
oak.
things on this label.
Exactly, exactly. Just a freaking delicious, textured, deep orange wine.
It is. You're describing what it looks like.
Yeah, yeah.
To those who are not watching this,
Yeah, it is
that
a
are listening,
deep orange, like
it is a deep
opaque.
orange that could be a beer. Looking at some of
Yeah.
these natural wines, they look
You
like
could-
they could
you
be
could
beer.
It
Matt with
looks
that.
like it, but taste it and tell me what you think.
All right, I love the nose.
Okay,
It's like light. There's some apricot. Pour yourself some, Judith.
Don't gotta tell me.
And on the topic of origins, when it comes to the process of different styles of winemaking, right? We discussed method ancestral, pet nat, but when it comes to skin contact white wines or orange wines, rather, we're talking about some of the oldest ways of making white wine. Archaeological studies show that, as far as we know, wine vinification really started in like Neolithic era Georgia, where for them,
right, the Georgian wines, the underground,
exactly,
and
amphora, and for them, they're keeping the grapes on the skins and essentially making what we call orange wines out of white grapes. So this sort of harkens back to those origins as well.
This wine
This is like nothing I've ever tasted.
Yeah.
I'm just getting like so much apricot, and I'm obsessed. It's like dried apricot. That's kind of,
It's like it's unlike any wine I've ever tasted. It's delicious.
it's really beautiful. I could drink this bottle way
too rapidly.
All right, so tell us about some more of your favorite producers that are kind of under the radar.
Man, where do we start?
I know. Right? Show some love to someone or several folks.
I feel like New York is kind of slept on, right?
Yeah, we make so much wine
We
here.
make mad wine in New York. I think Todd Cavallo makes incredible wine. He is also like the guy who basically revitalized the Piquette style of winemaking in America.
Tell the people what that style is.
How do I explain Piquette?
So piquette, basically, once you're done like pressing the juice out of your grapes, you can actually use the leftover solids. Is called like the grape must or pomace. You can rehydrate those, add a little bit of a sweetener to kind of like kickstart fermentation again, and kind of make a quote unquote kind of like watered down style of wine called piquette. So he is like the person that has like really started that movement again and has like made it popular.
Yeah.
Which is really fun.
Yeah.
Shout out to sustainability.
Yeah,
for sure.
that's Wild Ark Farms. Todd Cavallo is the winemaker based out of Pine Bush, New York.
Yeah. Dear Native Grapes.
Yeah.
Up in the Catskills, Alfie and Deanna, husband and wife team, they're using only indigenous and hybrid grapes like Delaware and Catawba. Make a great product.
Yeah.
I mean, both of you have been sommeliers in amazing high-end restaurants in New York. So you really, really know your shit. And it's just so cool to like have a focus on what's local. Because we do that with food in the industry so much. But for whatever reason, there hasn't been such a focus on it with wine, right? It's like people think, oh, the best wines must come from France or from Italy or whatever. And it's like, there's some great
making it
shit
right here.
happening in your own backyard.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
100%.
So I love. You were a
100%.
somm at Hags. I feel like
Yes.
you were working there when I went in there.
The day that you went there, I was off.
Oh, really?
Yes, I
that
found
was
out
like so many
afterwards.
years ago too, or 2 years ago, or
Yeah, I stopped working there last November.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's fast.
Time flies, huh?
What is time?
Time is but an opportunity to drink more wine.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Also, don't get it twisted. We definitely do love our under the radar French producers too.
Oh, sure.
And,
Yes.
under the radar French regions too.
Speaking of which, you brought a bottle from Spain, correct?
Yeah.
Should we talk about that real quick?
Yeah, sure. So this is a bottle coming from the south of Spain in Andalusia. It's a winemaker by the name of Raul Moreno, who's been doing this thing out there since like 2017. He's a bit of a Renaissance man, sort of just a linguistic genius, an educator, and also somebody who was the captain for the national blind tasting team of Spain.
Ooh.
Helped to get them to win a couple of times, and eventually went back home to Jerez to start making his own wine. So Jerez is relatively known for making sherry, which is fortified wine, but he likes to do some other cool things with sherry-based grapes too. This is a blend of Syrah and also Palomino Fino, which is usually used for fortified wine in the South.
It's very light in color. Just looking at it.
Yeah.
How are your blind tasting skills? Since we're talking about that, I can't imagine being that person that can just do that.
Blind tasting for a really long time made me really anxious because I remember back to my pre-sommelier days, watching like the documentary Somm.
Oh, that documentary
Oh my
gave
God.
me so much anxiety.
And they're like, it's DRC 1996 from like,
Right.
Just
you know?
the way
The second bottle from the bottom of
Yeah,
the
listener at home, if you haven't watched the documentaries, Somm, I think there's a few of them.
You know.
Check it out. These people are insane, going for their master Somm, and there's not that many in the world. And just the way they rattle things off, it's such a sense memory. It's such a skill.
Yes.
I mean, the only way to get there, right, is just taste.
Like your entire life has to be wine. And like I do admire that work ethic, but I think
Do you think it's you have to have something inherent I off the street probably couldn't develop that
Or
sort of
could
skill?
you absolutely train your
think,
palate?
yeah, I think you really could. I think that blind tasting is at its most productive when you're really taking in what you're tasting and kind of like breaking down the structure of the wine, thinking about like, am I tasting something from a cool, cold climate, and like using kind of like those deductive skills, like kind of like those investigative skills, and not so much using it for like, I have to call the producer and the vintage.
Right, it's really just
Their
breaking it
middle
down.
name.
It's not this, it's
Exactly.
not
Their
this, it's not
dog's
that.
name.
I mean, the nose on this, so different from the previous two wines. This is very earthy. This is a lot more, I hate to use that word, but it feels so overused, but a lot more barnyard than the, I'm not getting any fruit on this.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a little bit reductive on the nose. He's utilizing a really interesting style here where he's letting the Palomino Fino and the Syrah ferment under what they call floor, which is that thin layer of yeast that forms over barrel in styles of winemaking that's relatively seen in places like the Jura in France. You know, they make like Vin Jaune there of that style, but usually they keep it under floor for like 6 years. This has been under floor for like 10 to 12 months. And then he blends the two grapes together to make this claret.
It's really lovely.
It's very drinkable.
It's very yes, but completely different. It's
Oh,
dry.
yeah.
It's, I mean, I want to eat food with
Yes.
this wine.
Absolutely.
You know? Speaking of which, do you have any favorite pairings? Talk to us about food and wine together.
Yeah.
Anything off the top of
Yeah,
your head?
Totally. I mean, sorry, I don't want to step on your toes.
I said one of the last pairings that I really, really loved was when we went to Bar Blondeau
Yeah.
and we had like the sauternes with the raclette.
Oh yeah. Sauternes and raclette is fire.
A little
Yeah.
dessert one with some
Yes.
freaking cheese.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Hi,
that.
100%.
I'm
Yeah.
in. When
Yeah,
are we
yeah,
doing
yeah.
this?
Today.
In
God.
10 minutes.
I'll say like off dry Chenin with pernil is a banger.
Wait, pernil?
Yeah.
The Dominican pork?
Absolutely.
Oh, hell yes. With an
Yeah.
off-dry... Okay, I don't know if you listened to the episode. I feel like we keep talking about Tira Johnson, who was in season 1, but she talks about how off-dry Chenins are some of her favorite and underrated wines.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
then we
facts.
also had Isabel from Forsyth Fire Escape, who's like the pernil queen, you know? That and her
It's all
scallion pancake
full
burritos.
circle.
I just feel like we need to have like a food festival, a put it in my mouth food fest where we just bring every guest.
Where are
on.
they now?
Yeah, we bring all of our skills together and just like have a day. Oh my God. Okay, so off dry Chenin and Pernil, how does that work for you?
Oh my goodness. So okay, one of my favorite producers who makes off dry and relatively dry Chenin. They're from the Loire Valley, Chateau des Bonnezeaux.
Okay.
And I mean, you know, if I can get one of their cuvées, I think those are like one of those like allocated joints from like Grand Cru selections or something. So I have to like be on top of it. They have this one cuvée called Frimas, and Frimas 2020 was the first one that I had from them, and it was a banger. So I found another one at a wine shop downtown, and I believe I had it with some Pernil at the crib once, and I was just like, holy shit. This is it. So for me, so for me, you know, Bonnezeaux in the Loire is actually historically known for making sweet wines, but this producer and other producers around him are making like dry and off dry Chenin. So yeah, I think, you know, something like that goes together really well.
hungry.
Oh my God. Food and wine. Seriously, your mouth does something.
Yeah.
It starts to salivate. You start to get that.
I'm thinking about pernil, like, yeah.
And I like the first two wines were excellent, but I didn't necessarily want food with them.
Right.
This last wine, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
I'm starting to think about all the things that like I would like to eat with it.
Yeah.
Which is amazing because yes, I'm very hungry. All right, so let's bring it back to pre-shift. All about inclusivity, no pretentiousness, no pressure in having to know about wine. People can come in that have absolutely no knowledge. You have a strong LGBTQ focus, people of color. I love that you're trying to make wine so inclusive. You also make amazing playlists.
Oh, right, thank you. Oh, shit, thanks.
So are these
Gotta get
playlists
down to
like
the credit.
available to the public, or can we
Yeah.
maybe get a little special, put it in my mouth playlist to put?
Okay, no pressure.
But
no
yeah,
pressure,
I
but-
think we should have a little collab because Judith and I talk about this all the time. Like our favorite genre. You guys know that genre. Have you ever seen Alex Trebek say genre? Like, okay, we'll send it to you.
yeah,
We'll
send it to
Google
you.
it on
Okay, yeah,
YouTube.
okay.
It's amazing. Anyway, college like R&B, like
Yeah.
early hip hop. Like I mean, that's our vibe. And we were listening to one of your playlists before you guys came in, and we were just like, fuck yes, this is so good. So like maybe you guys could help, and we can have a little
Yeah,
collab
for sure.
playlist.
That'd be a lot of
I think
fun.
that'd be so sick.
Yeah.
That'd be lit. You can put that together.
So what about? So obviously, music is also a huge part of what you do. What have been some of your favorite pop-ups or collabs that you've done in the past?
I would say, the first one at Winona's was
Magical.
legendary.
That was pretty magical. I
Yeah.
really
I
love.
mean, you never forget your first time, right?
No.
Yeah, for sure. No, not this one.
But I think it's like, I don't know. We weren't expecting anything. Like we had like the only people that were our followers or like our friends. So we're just like,
It exceeded your expectations.
it
Yeah,
did.
it
It
exploded.
did. It was like a Wednesday, and they're like, yeah, we have like over like 100 people on the resi, and not enough people on the floor. We're like, yeah,
Duh.
Put us in the weeds, chef.
that was fun. I really loved the last pop up that we did with Frog.
Yeah. For all this
Oh,
really
at
cool.
Frog Wine Bar.
Yeah,
Yes.
Which is a great space.
Yeah.
Love everything they do. And you collabed with Chef Somms, who is
Yes.
also a friend of mine.
Yeah, totally.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I also love that you guys are just such a part of the community and always wanting to collab with chefs and spaces. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of what I do too. Just always trying to bring people together that are like-minded, like food, like
Yeah,
wine, want to learn.
Absolutely.
Isn't that like the best thing about this city?
Yeah, I mean
It
that's
really
the
is.
way to do it. I think another really good one we did was we did one on the day of Juneteenth, also at Winona's, this past June, with the Issei Collective, which is another social group that does activations and whatnot. So we paired their activation with like the wine that we had for the day and whatnot. We also did.
Wait,
what?
are we
Sorry?
talking about social justice and wine together?
Not necessarily.
Judith is getting so
I mean-
excited.
I mean, well,
She's shifting in her seat.
Is that what we're talking
Well,
about?
Social
our-
justice is never kind of like
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, but like that's a
It's
part of
sneaky?
our ethos.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Sneaky?
mean, that's just a part of our politics.
I don't know if you follow Judith on social media,
word.
but
Yeah.
Sneak the medicine in the can.
Yeah. We definitely
Yes!
like to pair the medicine with the candy always. Like, we're trying not to be, not trying to scare the folks away and
Heavy-handed.
whatnot. Yeah, not
You're not
too
trying to scare the
heavy-handed.
hose.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
like say what you really want to
Yeah.
say. Bring them in, but don't scare them off.
Definitely don't want to scare the hose. Pull up, please.
Pull up.
Have a good time with us. And when we did Public Records, that was a dope collaboration as well too, because we got to collab with our dear friends Hey Love, which is a music, a live music group, DJ, live instrumentation, DJ Uchild, DJ Relly Rel, and Uni Mojica on the horns. That was pretty sick.
I love
Yeah.
that you're
pretty cool.
incorporating music so much.
Yeah, and we had killer wine for that list too. That list was
We
crazy.
did. That was such an underrated list.
Yeah. So I
Okay,
don't know.
so
Are you
What's your
gonna
favorites?
email me that list?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, so what's next for pre-shift? What do you? I mean, you work for Zev Rovine, which is. I mean, tell my parents what that is, who he is.
Yeah.
A wine distributor.
Yeah. So Zevrovine. Zev is the man, the face of the company. Zevrovine Selections is a distributor / importer of natural wine specifically.
Right. So if you, and again, we're talking about Tira again. She gave the listeners a really nice tip. It was like, if you're looking, for wine, look at the importers.
Yes.
They're kind of like stylists for
Yeah,
wine.
totally.
If you like what they're bringing you, you may want to look for that on the label, and it's always on the label.
Absolutely.
So, it may be a specific style that you're into, knowing that they're bringing wines to you that may suit your palate.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a lesson that we learned shopping in retail spaces too, actually, because it went from I started with what's the ABV?
And it's overwhelming
Right.
when you walk into a store like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just going to look for a label.
Yeah, but eventually somebody
I like
was
the
like,
name.
yeah, but eventually somebody was like, pay attention, that's Rosenthal. What does Rosenthal bring in that you like?
Right.
That kind of thing. And so, yeah, to your point, that can definitely help to steer you in a particular direction because importers and distributors are curators of sorts.
And so, do you have any other importers you want to shout out? Or any local wine shops, like favorites that you really love that stocks the good shit?
Shit.
Only 8,
Okay.
like MySpace.
Your
Well, we
top
want to
8.
shout out our local wine shop,
Yeah.
PJ Wine,
Yeah.
all the way up in Inwood.
Amazing.
I also want to shout out Henry's
Yeah, Henry's is
as
cool.
well. Henry's
Where's
is really
Henry's?
dope. Henry's is in Bushwick.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember particularly which block it is.
No, but it's in
Henry's in
Bushwick.
Bushwick.
That's
It's
got
in
it.
Bushwick.
That's-
It's like
we know how to, like,
find
get
it.
there.
I'll
We're
put it
like-
I'll put it in the notes of the show.
Really
Yeah.
small shop, but really well curated list.
Yeah, I think fermented grapes is dope too. They're like over there in that part of Brooklyn that's like near Grand Army. Brooklyn neighborhoods bleed into each other in really
Yeah,
awkward ways
that's kind of
sometimes.
like the downtown Brooklyn area.
Kind
Yeah.
of. It's not too far from Clinton Hill,
Prospect
going into
Park,
Prospect.
Near the
Grand
best,
Army.
Grand-
near the
yeah.
best library in the entire
But
system.
Kilolo, who owns that joint, she's like an OG sommelier in the game and has a really beautiful spot. That's worth taking note.
In terms of distributors, I think Zevrovine actually, even years before you even dreamed for working for him, was one of the first importers that were we look at the back label, we're like, oh, okay, this is worth a try. Poliner, I really love, particularly because if you go on their website and you look up their producers, they have so much information.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And I
More
know
information is
That's
more better.
helpful.
It's so great. It's so great. And not everyone has the time to do that. So shout outs to
Yeah.
whoever's maintaining that.
Yeah. I would say smaller books, we try our best to take a look at and really want to big up not just, Jade's collaboration here, but her book By the Hand,
Okay.
which for the most part focuses on domestic producers, in the United States.
Hell yes. That's great knowledge.
Mhm.
All right, so coming back to you all,
Yeah.
what's next? I mean, are we thinking collabs for life? Are we thinking brick and mortar? Are we thinking wine shop? Are we thinking wine bar?
Yeah.
What's in the plan?
Well, so I feel like
What's
this
the
is
dream?
the point
No
where
spoilers.
Dante and
You
I
don't have to-
shift a little bit.
Just
Oh.
the dream.
For me, I want to make pre-shift my only occupation. My dream would be to have a wine bar and also a retail space. It's a little bit tricky with all the wine laws in New York to make both
Yeah.
happen. I don't want a full-on restaurant.
No.
There's no money in food. Everyone knows that these days.
But you need snacks? Is that what you're doing?
You want good snacks,
Yeah.
room for collaboration. I basically want to have a space where we can have our pop-up every day.
Every day.
I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, so you can basically still do what you're doing, but in your own space.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
And I mean,
sure.
you're in the NYU writing program. You're also an
Yeah.
amazing performer and poet and
Thank you.
writer.
Are you also going to school during this? What's that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna start my second year next week. Yeah, so 2 more semesters and
That's
I'm
a
done.
lot.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
I just need to finish this degree, and then I will begrudgingly also take care of opening up a wine shop.
He says he
And a
doesn't
wine
want
bar.
to, but then he's gonna be like, Well, I guess I'll help.
No, you know what? The world needs people like you owning the wine shops.
Yeah.
I believe in you.
Yeah, we've done things in the dark before to get our bottles. Goddamn it! I don't say that shit in public, but that's all I'll let you know.
Nobody listens to this except my parents, you guys.
Put you on the
Gotta do
game,
what you
parents.
gotta
Put you on the game real quick.
All right, y'all ready for a segment we like to call I Don't Fuck With That? Let's do it. Who knows how to do but we have no budget on this podcast. Who knows how to do an air horn?
Oh shit!
We like to announce it with a little air horn.
That's a really
Solid.
No, that's good.
modest.
I'm
My shit
sorry,
was so
she wins.
my shit was so modest. No, I feel like they killed
Good
it.
job.
They
You were
killed
a
it.
little timid.
Yeah.
Super timid.
All right, so we just like to air our grievances. This is a hill that we all like to die on. Who wants to go first?
Okay.
Okay, she's ready. They are ready.
So I think like we start with low stakes.
Okay.
And this is
Okay.
something that we both can agree on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do some places not give you water?
We might have have we discussed
Have
this?
y'all talked about this before?
Not on the pod.
Seriously, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Just to start.
Everyone needs to be
man.
hydrated for the
Yeah.
love of God.
Yes.
Like, do you want tap or sparkling? Just can you just hand me some water?
Just give
I'm
me
thirsty.
some water. Exactly. And if I want, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I need a liquid in front of me when I sit, okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like we have the best tap water in the
Agreed.
world.
Right. Just
like,
pour it.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Anyways.
Then if I decide I want something fizzy and fancy, I will
Yes.
tell
I'll
you.
get to
Exactly.
that. But
It's free and delicious.
Exactly.
Let's go. Oh, agreed,
People.
Julianny.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a real one. Yeah, that's a real one. I'm like, damn, I am parched, please. Because when they don't give you water, it's also a sign that like, you know, they haven't acknowledged you yet. You're not making any progress.
right, it is sort of like a hello.
You're not turning the table. I'm not eating any food.
But also
Nobody's
you're like,
doing
I'm
their
about to
job
put
here.
down some bottles
Right.
and get wine mouth.
Yes.
Get me
Let's get
hydrated.
into it. I understand that folks are in the weeds, but like, damn, son, just some water at least would be nice.
You can hand me a glass and show me where the tap is.
For real. I'll be right back.
All right, will you have something separate?
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh.
I mean, for me, I kind of still see this thing where if I go out to dine, like I'll still see like a chef freak out on their staff in the back, and I'm just like,
So old school.
It
like,
really
yo,
is. I
haven't
think
we
we're
gotten
done with that
beyond that?
culture.
I'm like, yo, get it together. Like I can see that shit. Everybody can see that shit. Like that food's not about to taste good with that energy in that kitchen.
Right.
Definitely not any better.
It's not the vibe. Yeah, I think that's like that makes everybody really uncomfortable, and it's just not the way to talk to another adult. Like, just be mature about it. Chill the fuck out.
Chill the fuck out. Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm going to segue into mine
Yeah.
because mine kind of fits with that.
Okay.
And you were with me. Okay, so I had an experience.
Okay.
Look, I have been in hospitality my whole damn life. From my first job working at Boardwalk Fries, making fries for people. We had an
Wait, but
experience.
what kind of fries?
They were the natural. They were the hand cut.
With the
Fries.
skin?
Oh, yeah. Those are the
Okay,
best,
okay,
actually.
okay.
Yep,
All right.
sold in the malls.
Carry
It was
on.
a chain. Anyway, we had an experience last week. My friends were in town, and we rolled up to a restaurant that I shall not name, but I go to, and I made the mistake of saying, there's 4 of us, when I hadn't even spoken to you. I didn't even know if you were coming. Because I said that because I thought this restaurant always has a wait. I thought, it's going to be an hour. I'll talk to her before then, blah, 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 whatever.
So you were going to put your name in and then come back?
Yes. And they said, is your entire party here? And I said, no. And they said, come back to us when they are. And then I was like, you know what? I don't even know if I'm going to hear from Judith. It's just the 3 of us here. We're going to sit down. We're hungry. I don't know if you're coming. There's the 3 of us, whatever. I went up and I said, it's just the 3 of us. I was not trying to pull a fast one on anyone. I shouldn't have said 4 from the beginning, knowing that 3 people will still get a 4 top. Anyway, they sat us. I hear from Judith 10 minutes later. She's there within 15 minutes. She comes and she sits down. To me, having a 4 top and having an extra person,
I
another
think it's
person.
important to note that you had already ordered stuff.
We had already ordered all of our food. Yes.
Okay.
Because
So it wasn't like they were sitting
a bottle
there
of
with their
wine.
water.
Yeah.
Yes. So she ended up coming. I was like, oh, we have a seat. Like, come. You know, the check average is only going to go up. Whatever. The manager made a big deal out of coming over and scolding us.
If you had been up front with us at the beginning.
Right. And I was like, I'm sorry. I was not lying to you. I didn't know if this person was coming. She lives 5 minutes
also,
away.
I'm sorry to interrupt,
It
but-
just sounded like an excuse after an excuse. And I get that.
Didn't
but
you
like,
say, can't we sit down and have a bottle of wine and slowly order?
yeah, it was just working in hospitality. This was like the antithesis of hospitality, because as he came over, as she had just arrived, and we had ordered this huge platter of food, bottle of wine, he came over just to scold us and tell us, you said 3, now there's 4. And this is a pretty well-known establishment. And I was just like,
Well, what do you want?
What
can we do to fix
Right.
this?
I said, would
There
you
was no
like us to
solution.
leave? And there
We
was
could go.
no solution. So I didn't understand why he felt the need to come and scold us. And my friends felt so weird. Everyone felt so bad. We still, of course, tipped 25. I think they even tipped 30%. Like, just so unnecessary. Anyway, I'm sure they have their reasons, but my hill to die on, or I don't fuck with this week, is just don't be a dick for dick's sake. Like, what is the point?
Be a dick for dick's sake.
Unhospitable hospitality.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. That was a long story. You?
Okay, so I've been thinking a lot about our last steak club, which was just a
Okay.
few days ago.
For the person who doesn't know, we go to a different New York City steakhouse once a month.
Okay.
There's 6 of us.
And I'm not sure that it matters, but please remind me, did we pay for the bread or was the bread free?
Wait, which place?
The last place we went to.
It was complimentary, which is very rare, because we got the same bread service, same style at a
of
different
bread.
place, and it was.
Okay.
Which, look, I understand it takes a lot of skill and money to make bread. I'm happy paying for it.
Right. So that mitigates it a little bit, but it's like, okay, we're going to have bread, which I don't know, feels a little luxurious in this like gluten whatever lifestyle that bullshit is going on. Right? So it's like, but this bread doesn't taste good.
Yeah.
It was like, I wanted to put like sprinkle salt on the bread.
Yeah, needed some seasoning.
I feel like
So don't give the complimentary
irregardless.
bread.
No, but I feel like even if you pay for it, or like, don't give me shitty bread. Like, can we just not? Can we just? Can we?
Like, it doesn't need to happen.
Because I put it on
you
my
both are
plate.
shaking your head. So people who are not watching, they're
There's
both
some
very
head
much
shaking.
into-
And I took a bite and I'm like, I don't like this. I don't want to eat it. But then it's in front of me. I've put the butter on it and I finished it.
The butter, to be fair, was delicious.
It was fine.
Butter
But it was
good.
like
It was room temp. It had
didn't,
Maldon
but
on it.
it wasn't enough salty. It wasn't enough salty for that bread.
Okay.
I was just highly disappointed by this bread, and that's all I've been thinking about.
So
And that was like one of our best steak clubs.
it was.
But I've been thinking about the shitty bread.
Okay, so don't give shitty bread if
Don't
it's
give
free.
me shitty bread. I don't care if I pay for it or if it's free.
Just take it off the menu.
Just take it off the menu. And also, have you tasted this bread, chef?
Yeah. It was kind of still kind of cold and frozen in the middle.
Oh no.
Damn.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked beautiful, so maybe
did.
it was
It
just for the
looked
Instagram.
real good.
It was a
Yeah.
lovely vision of bread. It just tasted like garbage.
Yeah. All right, now that we've all aired our grievances and we feel much better, deep breaths. You guys ready for a quick round? A little rapid fire to finish off this interview?
Oh, let me have some water.
You got to stay hydrate. See, we give you free water.
Yes, you do. I'm so thankful.
I just want to hear the first thing that comes to your mind. All right? All right. I don't care who answers first. Let's go. Favorite slice?
Pepperoni.
Grandma's.
From where?
Scars.
Frescoes.
Where's Frescoes?
It's Grandma's Slice from Frescoes, which is like near where we live by Inwood type shit.
Okay, because we've talked
controversial.
about scars many times on
Yeah,
this
yeah,
podcast.
yeah. Frescoes is like, we call it the up there. It's in Washington Heights, but like at the borderline starting where Inwood begins.
There you go.
Okay,
New spot on the
okay.
pod. We love it. All
We're
right,
moving
favorite
it north.
bagel. Order and
Bagel.
place.
Shit.
I like a plain bagel, cream cheese, lox from Inwood Bagels.
I like toasted bagel, a little bit of cream cheese that I put together myself at the crib because that means I had time to do it.
This is the best answer we've gotten for that question.
All right, favorite date spot.
Oh, what?
Oh, it has to be Muscota Marsh
Okay.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a
Tell the
restaurant?
people where that is.
Muscota Marsh is part of Inwood Hill Park, all the way up on 218th Street in Indian Road Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
I think Columbia University has some kind of like ownership over it, but it's a spot where we got married.
Oh,
And it's like
sorry.
Okay,
I
that
know,
was
it's
enough.
cute.
Yeah.
And it's at the Spite and Dival, which connects the Hudson and the Harlem rivers. So
Beautiful. I saw your wedding photos on
Oh,
Instagram.
thank you.
thank
Yeah,
you.
that's where it was. I think you would agree with this too. Favorite date spot for real, for me. Outside of that, Four Horsemen.
yes, I concur.
Yeah,
Beautiful natural wine list.
yeah. Beautiful.
Amazing
natural
list,
incredible
amazing
kitchen.
food.
Yes. All right, favorite thing about the other person.
I have to say, the many ways in which you can make me laugh.
Oh my god.
Has to be my favorite thing. You always surprise me.
It's an important one.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
No, you're hilarious. She just said you're hilarious.
So cute.
I mean, there's a lot, but your casual brilliance is something that I continue to be inspired by.
Oh my god! Don't make me cry.
I'm drunk, but I'm gonna cry over here. But man, I just said
Casual
your
brilliance.
Casual brilliance.
Put that on a t-shirt too.
Dear God. Tupac or Biggie?
Biggie.
Yo,
Biggie.
big. That's crazy.
Your last meal on earth.
Oh, that's easy for me.
What you got?
It has to be my grandmother's skipe.
Oh, damn. Yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
Fried catfish, candy yams, mac and cheese.
Yes.
Let me get a glue cold red wine with that, please.
You may.
Any specific place that makes that, or are you just making it yourself?
Honestly, I grew up going to Amy Roof's on 116th Street, getting that specifically. So, yeah.
Shout out.
Shout out to Amy Roof's in Harlem. It's still there.
Hell yes. And in the last week or maybe month or so, what is the best thing you put in your mouth?
Well, I actually went to a friends and family before this at the Third Falcon.
Yes, I'm going tomorrow.
Oh my god.
Nice.
So please order
Yes.
the brioche.
Okay.
It is
Good
like
bread.
Good bread.
amazing bread. You do have to order it. But
Okay,
it's
that's
like,
fine. I
it's
will order it.
Please order. It is soft and it crumbles in your hands and it melts in your mouth.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's beautiful.
Yes, ma'am.
What's happening? And by the time this
Shit, I
airs,
missed
this
that.
restaurant, Third Falcon, will be open.
Yes.
For me, a couple days ago, we went to Cocina Consuelo, uptown in Harlem, and they have this bone marrow dish that comes with a few fresh tortillas.
Yes.
And you scrape off a little bone marrow and birria, and you put that in the tortilla. You take a
Yeah.
bite of that, and all of that melts in your mouth.
Yes.
Holy shit.
We looked at each other. We were like, "Should we order another one?"
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Judith and I are both
No,
just,
seriously,
watching our seats.
Oh my god.
Sounds amazing.
We will be there.
Shout out to them. We need to go there. All right, just to wrap it up, tell everyone at home your socials, where they can find you, where they can catch a pop-up. Tell them the deal. Let's go.
We are at Pre-Shift NYC all together.
And individual handles too. Or?
Sure, go for
If
it.
you-
Throw 'em
yeah.
out there. If you want fans like Janet and Matt.
For the fans of A Tribe Called Quest, I am
yes.
at Julita Applebum.
You gotta put me on.
I am at Brother Dante, all one word, all one name, spelled correctly. And you can find me hiding under a bunch of fucking books for the next few months, or slinging wine somewhere, either at a pre-shift or any retail space or restaurant near you.
And if you got a celebration coming, we do private events
Oh,
too.
hell yes.
Quiet as
Nice.
it's kept. So
Yes.
Just, whatever.
Bring them in. I love this. You can have a little gathering and have these people come in and teach you and your friends about wine.
100%.
What a fun night.
Yes, for
Thank
sure.
you so much for coming to Times Square on a
will
Wednesday
say,
night.
Yeah.
I thought that the studio was going to be somewhere in like Brooklyn. And then I saw Midtown. I was like, oh, okay.
Sorry. we
We apologize.
No, please don't.
Now we
it's
all
all
got to
good.
battle through the
It's
tourists to get back to
amazing.
the train.
The only problem is location. Yeah. I mean, everything else is amazing.
great.
Amazing.
A New Yorker has to go through Times Square at least once a year just to see where they're at in their life.
Yeah. There
Just
you
to
go.
see what
Be like,
they're made of.
You're like, this is the
right.
one
Uh-huh.
time.
Uh-huh.
This is
It's
that
about
time.
And what a great time, the last night of Mercury retrograde.
There it is.
Oh, yes.
Very fitting.
Let's wrap that shit up. I'm done with it. Thank you so much to both of you for joining us and giving us your
Thank you.
time. It is not lost on us. Thank you for bringing these beautiful wines.
Of course.
I'm buzzed. I'm happy. I'm
You're-
hungry.
Yeah.
All right.
Can we go
Judith, let's go eat.
eat? Okay.
Until next time, go forth and put it in your mouth. Bye.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye. I have to pee so bad.
Oh, no.
Please do that.
Okay, please.
Damn.
Thank y'all
God.
so much.
Oh, that was so fun.
That was fun.
What is I like it? What I like it. I like it.
Put It In My Mouth podcast is recorded at Podstream Studios and produced by Candace Fox and myself, Lala Zimski. You can find us on all social platforms at Put It In My Mouth Pod. Our theme music was composed by Javier Dunn, and our intro and outro segments were created by Tyler Milliron. Our editor is Saeem Asif. Do you enjoy listening? Well, we would love to take your money, so please consider sponsoring an episode or helping us out with as little as $5 a month through our Patreon. Your contributions help us continue to create episodes we love so much. Thank you.